Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 18th of October, year 2023. I'm hoping everyone is getting ready for Halloween, which is on the 31st of October. So here we go. Let's get familiar with our panel today. We have April. April is a psychic. She's done mediumship, quite a few modalities of healing, and April is here. I know most of you are familiar with April. And then we have Patricia, who is part of our core group of meditators. Good evening, Patricia. And I also wanted to do a public service announcement about our workshop, right, April? That we have an upcoming workshop on the 4th and the 5th, which is a weekend workshop. Wonderful time to convert your weekend into a very sacred, have reverence for that weekend and convert it to a very sacred day, both Saturday and Sunday, or attend one day, or whatever is convenient for you. But we have a lineup of session leaders, Kelly and Kelly, who are part of our panel, April. Then we have Lakshmi, who does a lot of mantra chanting, which is very meditative and very peaceful. We all love it. And then we have Terry and Shuma and Ryan. Ryan has been on a Facebook panel as well. So just wanting to let everyone know that that workshop is available. I'm going to ask you a question, April. Not that I can type all this up. So I had posted, let me see which post it was. I'll have to see what post it was. Okay, the post said, when you become involved in an argument or some conflict situation, perhaps with a partner or someone close to you, start by observing how defensive you become as your own position is attacked, or feel the force of your own aggression as you attack the other person's position. Observe the attachment to your views and opinions. Feel the mental, emotional energy behind your need to be right and make the other person wrong. This is Eckhart talking about this in The Power of Now. That's the energy of the egoic mind, right? You make it conscious by acknowledging it, by feeling it as fully as possible. Then one day in the middle of an argument, you will suddenly realize that you have a choice, and you may decide to drop your own reaction. But then this person asks that I do understand that we should be aware of this egoic urge, reaction, physical, emotional, or any other way to be right, and trying to prove the other person wrong, being aware of this mental, emotional pressure to react. My question is, what if the other person is repeatedly provoking in the same or worse way, or repeatedly brings up the same topic because of his, her own insecurity or jealousy? Should we walk away from such a person, no matter how helpful or kind that person is, but doesn't learn from his, her mistake? And another thing, the only language the other person understands is through drama of some sort. For instance, people in our culture, she's from South Asia. For instance, people in our culture understand only the language of loud voice. They are ignorant. There's no other way to make them understand that something is unlawful, cheating, wrong practice, etc., because there's no accountability system in our society. Unfortunately, mostly people take advantage of our simplicity, innocence, and respectful ways of dealing. They think they are smart and the other person is a fool, and she can get away with any wrongdoing. How to handle such situations? I hope you got that. And I'll try and find it on my email and type it up over here while you are responding. Thank you.
That's a difficult situation. And it keeps going. Not only do we have an unconscious person, but we have an unconscious culture, an unconscious society that's feeding it. So Um, so when especially when you're first starting out in this spiritual awakening and this self-realization and learning about the ego, learning about your own ego, when you're first starting out, one of the things that you want to remember is that this is a practice, that it's not, you won't always get it perfectly every time. And there will be times when your ego wakes up, where you take things personally, you get upset, you get your feelings hurt. The key to this work is self-awareness. It's that paying attention to yourself, that self-observer, looking at yourself and then asking, why am I upset? Do you think my voice is low? I thought maybe I need to turn my volume.
Or I think
My,
your microphone, pull it closer to where you're speaking.
it should work.
Yeah, now it's, the more you get it closer to you, we can hear you better.
I probably just have to turn it up a little there.
Thank you.
I had turned it down earlier today. So you want to remember that this is a practice. This isn't something that, you'll get right from the beginning and that it'll be all perfect. There will be times where your ego will wake up. But in her question, she is aware that this person is doing it. She's aware that this person is provoking her and that they're bringing up the same drama over and over. That in itself is where you take that step back and you realize that this is this person's consciousness. This is their level. This is where they're at. And then, there's different ways that people get their needs met. So this person gets their needs met by having the drama. But when you're aware of it, then you can not react to it, because you can keep yourself back over here, maintain your own energy, and you almost observe them. You kind of step back, but your feelings are not getting involved. So I think one of the things that people don't understand is that you can maintain your own energy. You don't have to allow your energy to intermingle with other people's energy. I think that's a big thing that people don't understand. Like, when we're not conscious, our energy is kind of mixing and swirling in with everybody else's, and we pick up other people's energy. But when you start this work, you can learn to maintain your own energy, and you can learn to not allow yours to intermix with the others. So that's a big thing I think people need to understand. And really, essentially, that's what Eckhart does. He doesn't let his energy mix with anybody else's energy. He does not take on anybody else's energy. And he almost observes them as if they're a movie. And that's why he laughs frequently. It's funny to him because it is so outside of him. He doesn't take it in. When we take it in, that's when we get hurt. That's when we get upset. And that's when we have the reaction. So what was the second part where she was talking about the country? They're yelling. She's saying they yell and there's no
They create
accountability.
that drama. They create drama.
Oh,
Should
that's
we
so
walk
you-
away from such a person? And another thing, the only language the other person understands is through drama of some sort. For instance, people in our culture understand only the language of loud voice. They are ignorant. There's no other way to make them understand that something is unlawful, cheating, wrong practice, etc., because there's no accountability system in our society.
That's interesting. No accountability, no way to make them understand.
Mhm.
And ultimately, that's true. You can't really make somebody else understand. You cannot necessarily raise somebody else's consciousness unless they are on the path, unless they are doing the work, unless they want to get better. So I fully agree with Eckhart's statement of you change when you have suffered enough. You get on this path when you suffered enough. So you can't make these people see or change or become accountable. What will happen is they're on their own path. And at some point, this will become too much for them. Their own pain will consume them and they will wake up, or maybe they won't in this lifetime. But you also know that one of the other biggest parts of this is realizing that everybody's on their own path. And while you can maintain your own energy and be on your path and not take things personally, you can demonstrate how to handle things, but you cannot make other people wake up or be enlightened. Whether she should leave, I do agree with people leaving situations if they are abusive, making change in your life for the better. I don't know the exact situation, so I can't really comment, but if it is abusive, then, and some people, they just will not wake up, and you don't want to keep staying in that environment. If you have to stay in the environment, then you maintain your own energy, you watch your own ego, and you follow your awareness, right? You stay in your energy, you maintain that peace. So that's what I would start with.
Typed up, I mean, I pasted it from my phone onto the Facebook page and then put it on the Zoom chat. If you want to reread it, April. So Summer is saying, let me see. Summer, Louise, and Dave are online. So hello, everyone. And Lakshmi is online as well. Summer was saying, it is so hard to keep maintaining my energy when I'm hearing of so many people dying in Gaza. So
That's Samar.
yeah, some
Yeah. I noticed that she's having a hard time with this. And it is a very difficult situation. It is very unfortunate. I just seen a video the other day of it was with Greg Braden. And while this one and Ukraine are kind of in the forefront, he reminded us that there are actually 22 different wars going on right now in the world. 22. That's a lot. And these ones are the ones that she's talking about. They're big and it is very devastating. It's absolutely devastating. But I think what's happening is you don't stop praying. You don't stop sending energy and love, but you do need to stop focusing. Because remember, where attention goes, energy goes. Correct? Right? So where attention goes, energy goes. Am I saying to just ignore this, that, we don't care? No, that is not what I'm saying. However, if we are going to focus on all the sadness and all the grief, that is where the energy is going to go. So we need to focus on the healing, on the peace, on the calmness, on people, settling down, on that instead. Now, I did talk to her a little bit on the side, and while this is not what I would prefer, from what I have gathered also a little bit is that when you're looking at like multi-dimensional healing and things like that, that part of the world is, it's part of the moving into the fourth dimension, the fourth density, it's part of releasing all that third D dimension energy. Now, would I like it to go in a different way? I would, but like we talked before, like about the Holocaust and things like that, that stuff is horrible. And it's really horrible, especially on the human level. But on a spiritual level, it's going to teach us to stop. Just stop already. Stop. So while I would prefer there be no sacrifice, um, I think that that's going to end up being a huge lesson for humanity of this simply has to stop. So I would focus more on that aspect of it than on how bad it is. I would send lots of love and light. And I do this at times. I will literally imagine Earth and I am outside of Earth and sending light to Earth, the whole planet, not just one region, the whole planet. Because again, where attention goes, energy goes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, April. Thank you for that advice. I'm hoping, I mean, it is hard. I know I've had conversations with Michelle as well during group meditation. It is not easy to see if you are connected at the 3D level, right? It is not easy to see the spiritual side to the sacrifice that is being made. And what I feel is that soul already made that soul contract, that they would be just like the people that passed away during COVID. Why did this person have COVID and they passed away, but another person got COVID at the same time doing the same thing? Like one of my coworkers was saying in Florida, that's where patient number 1 started, right? They were at the same party as the patient number 1. All of them got COVID at the same time, right? But why did one person pass away and the other person? We need to bring that level. People need to understand, if we are not going to embrace empathy and compassion as our innate nature, if we are not going to live out empathy and compassion, then the negative things will keep happening.
Yeah.
To bring up that empathy and compassion, right? So what is happening when things of that nature happen in Gaza? Then the level of empathy and compassion throughout the planet increases. The same thing with COVID. When COVID happened, everybody became so loving. Everybody became so, oh, I love my mother. I love my whatever. Now you're not able to see them. Now you love them more,
Yeah.
right? So.
Yeah. It's part of the 3D lifting.
Mhm.
And if you listen to Matthias, he'll talk a lot about how that area is one of the big centers of the planet as far as chakras and energy wise. And that area needs to clear up. It needs to clear up and heal. And again, we're not saying any of it is good. I don't think it's good. And I would like for it to never have started. But soul, we do, as souls come in, we do, when groups of souls pass, they did make that agreement as a group. And it is always to have, teach the planet a lesson, to teach spiritually, teach us
Mhm.
that we are all one, and that we simply have got to learn to love each other, and we have got to stop fighting. Look, you got to stop fighting over each other's stuff, over toys. Like, why are we stealing land? Why are we doing that? It's land. It's so crazy to me. Like, you look at Earth from above, like in a plane, and you see all these squares in this land. To me, it's just like, that's so insane, is it not? That is this is the edge of the state. Like,
But
okay,
I don't even think that's a proper border. Like, I don't even think there's a wall. It's an imaginary
right,
demarcation. I think not
right,
everywhere is there a border,
yeah. But
right?
then people, oh, I am from Colorado, and then they step across the street. Oh, I'm just literally step across the street, that fake line,
I'm Texan.
right?
Right.
So, and I did kind of talk to her about that a little bit, that, these souls do, I know it seems crazy, but these souls do make these contracts before they come here. They do sign up,
Mhm.
as crazy as that sounds. And then we've talked about the huge spiritual lesson that we have got from Hitler,
Mhm.
even though on a personal level, we would probably knock him out ourselves. But on a spiritual level, we are still learning from him. And so you have to kind of look at it from a spiritual level. And you also have to know that while what's happening on the human level is horrible, those are souls that go back to source, who are perfect, healed, whole, not hurt, they're not sick, right? So humanly, yes, but once the soul leaves that body, they are okay. They're always okay. Always.
And probably like if it's I mean, I have to say this with a lot of empathy and compassion and sensitivity, that even if it's a young child, like the Sandy Hook thing that happened to 6-year-olds, right? The mass shooting that happened to 6-year-olds. It's like that 6-year-old's karma is done for this lifetime, right? They took birth to do this, to give a mother and father the role of a parent, right? The honor of being a parent. And then that was their contract, that they show how gun violence is not needed.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, and that is true. And I know that it seems really, really, really hard to understand. And that's because you're looking at it from the human level. But again, like your example, you have a mass shooting and there's one person who is shot one time and passes away. And then you have another person who is shot 3 times but does not pass away. These things don't make sense.
Mhm.
And it's because, you just simply don't go before your time. You don't. But I would really try to focus not on the tragedy as much as you can, even though it is tragic, and focus on the healing and the love. That's like those experiments that they did where they brought the monks into the city and the monks did the meditation and the healing, and the crime rate goes down in the city,
Mhm.
right? That's scientifically been proven.
We had that
So,
happen with Dr. Joe's walking meditation on the 23rd of September.
yep.
He produced a video of the Schumann resonance, like wherever they're measuring the heart rate and like the Schumann resonance of the planet, like the frequency just goes up
Mhm.
of everyone's heart. Just because we 130, 150,000 people did a walking meditation, just because they were feeling the peace and compassion. And I would say, Summer, listen to his walking meditation for Walk for the World, where he says, oh, imagine the world to be a peaceful world. Imagine the world to be a compassionate world. Imagine the world where there's no guilt, no shame, no blame, no hurt, no pain, right? Imagine a world of that kind and bring it as you, uh, just like April said, if you bring attention to that, that is the world we would manifest. The more we focus on, oh, this negative thing, oh, this shooting, more of the shooting, we're focusing on the wrong end of the stick. As Abraham Hicks says, living out Caesar. I don't know where Caesar has been. Have y'all heard from Caesar?
I have not heard from him lately. I heard from him a little bit after the last time, but I haven't heard from him lately.
Right? I'm hoping he's okay. I've texted him, but he has not responded to my text. But yeah, so
Hmm. Yeah. But that is true that, because again, you want to focus on the outcome you do want.
Mhm.
not on what you don't want. And there's some other big spiritual healers that I know of that are doing the same thing. Diana Cooper's doing it. Tim Wild's done it. Matthias Stefano's done it, where they are
Mhm.
focusing on healing the world. So, and they're getting large groups to do this. This is large groups. So that's where I would put my focus for
I
sure.
would say Summer joined Matthias De Stefano to a trip to Egypt and see what kind of peace he brings through his prayer. I've heard that he calls in rain, and Egypt is not
Wherever he
somewhere
goes, it rains.
rains. Yes, he's like the Rain Man or something, right? He calls
Yeah,
himself
I
the Rain
wanted
Man.
to, yeah, I wanted to go to the one he was doing in Arizona, but he actually ended up getting sick. So what happens is when Matthias doesn't listen to his guides and he tries to do a different agenda than what they want him to do,
He
something
falls sick.
happens. Yeah, he got appendicitis
Oh wow. Okay.
because and so the trip ended up getting canceled, but but he jokes and he says wherever he goes it rains.
Mhm.
So you you have to bring a raincoat or something. But just looking those people up or listening to those people or the Joe Dispenza are doing those meditations, and that can also just be, so it can be worldwide. It can also be within your work or your family. And the important thing is to imagine what that looks like, what that feels like, what does that sound like. Actually imagine those kinds of things happening. And you can't focus too much on worldly events because a, they're out of our control, except for our positive influence, right? It is not like we are going to the president and having a conversation. So this is what we can do. This is, how we can influence. So I'm looking at the end of this per uh, statement here. People in our culture understand only the language of loud voice. They're ignorant. There's no other way to make them understand. And then she says, should I migrate to another country if I get the opportunity? So for all of this, again, you have to understand that this is where your society is at as a culture. And if you don't agree with that, or what's happened is you have evolved past that point. You have evolved past this, ignorance and all of this that she's talking about. So I would go inside and listen to yourself and ask yourself or ask your guides if it is time for you to go or time for you to move, because you always want to listen to yourself. So you can always ask your guides for signs. So I did this the other day, having a really, really rough time dealing with my mom and my stepdad's estate. There's all kinds of, you just wouldn't even believe all kinds of chaos going on. And it's been kindly difficult. So I said to my mom the other day, now, mind you, we are in October here, and it's cold, it's rainy, it's fall. But I said to her the other day, I said, I need you to bring me some daisies. I need to see some daisies because I need to know, like, you're here, you're helping us deal with this. We're doing the right thing, which I know we're doing the right thing. So my daughter goes up north and she parks her car and she missed 2 daisies by this much. 2 daisies are right there in the grass in October up north. Okay. So your guides, your people that are around, they will answer you. Source will answer you. And then you bring your higher self, which is your soul, your spirit. Okay. You have a body and you have a soul as part of your spirit, which is connected to source. You bring that into you. You bring that into your mind, into your body, into your heart, and you listen to it. So a lot of times we think it's like way up there, which it feels like it's way up there or it's out there, but you want to connect to it. That's that space of peace, of harmony. And then you want to bring that in and then see what it tells you. And that's what I would do to answer whether she should leave or migrate to another country.
One other aspect, April, is when she says, my question is, what if the other person is repeatedly provoking in the same or worse way, or repeatedly brings up the same topic? If somebody is repeatedly doing that, they are actually showing us our reactivity, our condition pattern, right? The karmic pattern that I have, they're showing us that we are getting irritated. Like every time, let's say if I got upset if the kitchen was messed up, right? That I want the kitchen to be immaculately clean, right? And somebody constantly keeps messing it up, messing it up, messing it up. And I'm getting repeatedly, like how many ever times I tell them, hey, I don't like dirty dishes in the sink. I don't, I want them loaded in the dishwasher. Like the dishwasher is empty. They could have just taken the dishes and put it in the dishwasher, right? And I'm getting irritated over and over and over again. Instead of just walking up and going and running the water and putting the dishes, the path of acceptance, the path of least resistance in that situation, that example I'm giving, is I walk up, I see that the kitchen is not immaculate, the dishes are in the sink, I just pick up the dishes and put them in the sink instead of having an argument with this person, right? That the dishes need to be, that I need the kitchen immaculate. So if
So it's
somebody is
showing
doing
you,
something, something is irritating me, so I don't get irritated, right? In that situation, I'm in acceptance. So there's not this repeated provocation.
yeah. So the irritation, like you getting irritated, that is, that's your issue. Why am I getting irritated? Right. But
Mhm,
this person doing this repeatedly, the other side of this is that's that person's pain body. When they keep
mhm,
doing something repeated, like when I work with clients, and if they bring me an issue repeatedly, I'm like, okay, this is the fourth time you've talked to me about X and X dying. Like, okay, this is your pain spot right here because you're repeating it, right? So that whatever that is that person's doing, that's their pain body,
mhm.
right?
That may
And that's
be the
also
case. That may be the case. It's their pain body, but there's responsibility, or the
right.
break down the words responsibility, the ability to respond to that is, I should not get irritated, or I should not say that they are stupid, or what was the term used?
Ignorant.
Ignorant, that they are ignorant, right?
Yeah.
And if they're creating drama, I can always walk away, accept the situation, leave the situation, or what does Eckhart say? Accept, leave, or change it. I cannot
And
change
if
it, I
they're
cannot accept it, then leave it. Move away from
right,
wherever this
right.
drama is being created, right?
And if they're ignorant, then that right there tells you they're ignorant, which means ignorant means you just don't know. And that's their level of consciousness. So then
Mm-hmm,
that's where the acceptance comes in. Okay,
mm-hmm,
you just don't know. You don't know a better way. So I can keep getting mad at you, but I'm expecting somebody who's ignorant to act a different way, right?
mm-hmm,
Do you see that?
mm-hmm,
And I have people who do that, and I'm like, okay, so you know how this person is, you know where they came from, you know their background, you know their patterns, but yet you're expecting them to be different.
yep.
That's not where that person's at, right? So yeah, I I agree with all of that.
They know not what they do. And then again, the same example that you use for summer to view the world as something different, instead of saying, for instance, people in our culture understand only the language of loud voice, what I would say is stop viewing your culture as a culture where people only understand loud voices. Try and visualize your culture to be one that is compassionate, that is like that is what Dr. Joe calls mental rehearsal, right? We do a mental rehearsal that the people around me are very kind. My day, like I start off my day is going to be wonderful. I'm going to have a wonderful day today, right? I'm going to be grateful today. I'm going to bless everything today. Like Patricia says, bless the traffic. You're in traffic, bless the traffic. I'm glad that nobody's coming and having multiple accidents on the way on my commute, right? That they're peacefully driving in their lanes at their own pace. So just imagine a different culture, right? Do a mental rehearsal of a different culture, because it's the same thing that we were telling Summer. Don't pick up that stick that says, my culture does not understand, only understands loud voices. If that remains, then 30 years from now, still the culture will not change until we change it. Our personality is always co-creating our personal reality, right? If we say, no, my culture is sweet and precious, and everybody talks very sweetly, everybody's kind, we will see kindness come out, right?
Yeah, and now eventually there are some spaces where it may take a long time, and some people are not meant to evolve. That's not their role. That's not their contract,
Mhm.
right? Their contract is to come here and to be in front of us as a non-evolved person.
Yep. And then the very last part, she says, unfortunately, mostly people take advantage of our simplicity. I allow them to take advantage of me. That's okay. Like if everybody thinks that I'm too sweet, and because that will play, that karmic action of theirs will play out, them taking advantage of my sweetness. Like Eckhart says, right, the law of karma is very compensatory. Their actions will always play out for them. I'm not responsible for that. What I'm responsible for, which is what you said in the beginning, is imagine a white light around me, and that wherever I go, I'm sending that white light, right? Everything is sweet and everything is kind, is what I'm saying. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree. That is a very interesting statement, because that almost turns the whole thing that she says there. It turns the whole thing. So then I start to think, well, who is this person that she's dealing with, that they can do these things and they think she's a fool and they can get away with it? Like, who's doing these things?
Like, most people, like even with Eckhart says when he's driving, people say you're an idiot because he drives very slowly. Like probably he drives with a lot of presence. People do think like when you're in presence and you're doing things like much more slower and much more with presence, right? They think that you're stupid, you're not that fast. The ego, the cleverness of the ego, the cunning of the ego is not running in us, right? They think that we are not manipulated. So people think that, oh, she's stupid, she's an idiot, right?
Oh, yeah, because she says here, some people understand non-reaction as a weakness and repeatedly torture.
Exactly.
Right, but they can only torture you if you are allowing them to torture you, or if it's bothering you.
Mhm.
Right? If you're taking it personally, if you're allowing it to hurt you. Now, I mean, if it is that, bad of a situation, then yes, I would leave. But there is a space where you have to learn to not take what other people are doing personally. You have to learn to not do that. You can't take everything to heart. You can't think everything is about you. And if you are on this path and you're practicing this, and then you also know who you are and you love yourself, things that other people do don't bother you. They just don't. You see them as those actions as their ego, and that allows you to step back and you don't take it on. You don't take it on. So you have to agree with what the person's doing. There has to be some part of you that agrees with what they're doing or they're saying in order for it to hurt you. Okay, so like if somebody, for example, if somebody comes up and they tell me that I'm not smart and I'm lazy and I'm this or that, some part of me has to actually agree with that to get hurt.
Mhm.
If I don't agree with it, it doesn't hurt me. It'd be like walking up to you and being like, you are the best piano player I've ever seen. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't touched it
Or
in my
you're the
whole
best
life.
dancer. You're the best dancer.
Right.
You're the best ice skater or snowboarder.
The opposite could be true. I could walk up to you and if I were to walk up to you, you know, say you are a female and I'm like, you are such a handsome man. And I just think that you are so great at fixing those sinks. And you're just looking at the person like, what? None of that fits me. But if I say something that you somewhat believe, like, no, you're really just not good at things and you're lazy. Oh, now we kind of felt a little bit of something.
Mhm.
Why?
Mhm.
Because some part of you believed it. It went inside. So you have to learn to do that with these kinds of people, is you have to learn to stop taking in what they're saying and listen to yourself, know yourself, believe in yourself, and you are the only one that gets to decide your worth, your value, your description, who you are. Right. And that's pretty much how I took Eckhart's teaching and morphed it into what I did with me in my life. That's what I did.
You are incredibly amazing. So eternally grateful for all the advice that you give us. I think Summer said the same as well, almost. Let me go to Patricia. She's been waiting patiently. Patricia, do you have a question for April or say something about this? Thank you.
First of all, thank you, April. You couldn't stop. Listen, I just said, keep talking. I love it because you were picking on so many things. And and then this is incredible that it happened the second time. What happened during the other workshop, break free. Also, I was thinking that if Poonam asked me, I would like to ask you about the end of that questions about my grading, if I should this and that. And then, so I had it prepared to ask you because you didn't talk. And then you paused and started to talk about it. I'm like, oh my God, did you hear me? So that was incredible. Yeah, I just I don't know if I have anything else to say, but I just got so many valuable, wonderful little bits and pieces of understanding to all of it, not only the situation of the world, but my personal ones and my experiences. And I think that for Poonam and me, I mean, I don't know how accidental the move was for you, Poonam, but for me, it's almost Grace said, you don't have that kind of awareness as this person asking has. I didn't know that it's just the polished society. I didn't label. It's like I needed to get out. So I didn't even know why. If it was my family, it was just the country, it was just the historic. I needed to get out, and I think the Grace just guide me through the changes because I always was very afraid of change, and yet I left the continent to come to completely different culture, different language, had to start everything from the beginning. It's just, it was almost anti what I did all my life, trying to construct the security and safety and something that it's persistent and constant, that doesn't change, something I can rely on. And then all of a sudden, just like, nope, leave it all behind, go. I mean, how crazy. It was almost insanity. I don't know what happened with my video.
It'll come back in a minute. It'll come back.
You guys can hear me?
We can still hear you. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there
okay.
you are.
That was interesting that happened.
Mhm.
Oops. So yeah, and so again, just the acceptance of that voice that inside guides. And I was starting some of my spiritual. I was actually reading Anthony de Mello book, Prayer of the Frog, and I still have it in Polish because I brought it with me. So I was picking on that energy prior to everything that changed so drastically in that part of my life. So either we choose it because we observe it that we can accept it, I can change it, let's just leave the situation. And sometimes it means leaving the place when you were born. But I think what Eckhart says, that high quality no, it's just that it's different. I don't know if I did follow the change because I was afraid of having my life to be just that, or I did it out of love for myself, because I never thought that, I really love myself. And what April talks about, the self-esteem and self-love, I actually been struggling about this lately because I think this is something so new to me that I still, to some extent, look for others' approval. And continuously, life is not giving it to me. So, and then I'm almost going through like another episode of Dark Night of the Soul after the workshop we did about shadow and understanding. It's not that I'm going and looking for it, but it's almost like it's haunting me sometimes. Especially on the weekends when I'm tired at the end of the work week, and then just like stuff is going through me, and I almost feel like it's so heavy that it's like, why am I doing it to myself? And then I meditate and I'm just trying to clear the energy. But there are moments when I feel very alone in this whole thing. So, that's the question. It's like, where is that guide? I mean, I don't feel it very strongly to be there for me. So I go and hug a tree. So kind of, and then still looking on the outside for it. So during the meditation on Friday, we had the spark of the Eckhart Tolle that was very incredible when he talks about sitting alone in the room. So I've been trying to do this. It's hard. Just sit there. I mean, I observed my head was like, no, just turn on TV or turn Eckhart, like let someone else do the job, to the work. Like me sitting, no, I'll meditate. I'd rather meditate because I just don't know how to sit alone in the room.
But the how to sit alone in the room, Patricia, is about, like, I can sit and I can feel this energy coming through me, right? And that is the pleasure. That's the joy. That's the joy of sitting.
It's
So
not,
until we experience that energy, right? So what you have to do as a goal for your meditation or goal for your sitting quietly is, can I quieten my mind down where I can experience more and more of this energy? Energy that April was saying, right? It's connected to a source. And that's the
oh, there's
energy.
so many different thoughts coming through me at that moment. I just don't know which one to listen to, or if I don't listen
It's
to
not
it,
about thinking. You don't have to think.
but
You
it's
don't have to-
happening. I mean, I
It's okay
I
if it
can't
happens.
stop it.
So a lot of people, when they first start meditating, they have this idea that you're not supposed to think and you're not supposed to have any thoughts. You can have thoughts. The more that you meditate, the longer you meditate, then you will be able to gain silence of mind. Okay. So like today, I have a lot of stuff going on, and told you guys I'm training in a practice that's called Mingja, and it's a qigong healing practice. Well, today I could only get to right here, this level. That's as much as I could get clear. And I was like, okay, we need to do the rest of the body, but for the amount of time I only had like 10-15 minutes. All I could get clear was this space right here, because again, I'm dealing with a lot. Now I will do it again, and I will do it later, and I'll be just fine. But you have to understand that it's not always going to be perfect, especially in the beginning. But it's not about not having thoughts, because the mind has thoughts. It's about not attaching to any of those thoughts. It's about not following any of those thoughts. Just let the thought come in. Let it come in, let it go. Let it come in, let it go. Let all 5,000 of them come in, go.
I'm not sure I know how to. I mean, it's almost like I notice the thought, and then what do I do with that?
Nothing.
I have to, my
Nothing.
brain is trying to say, is it a right thought? Is it the bad thought? Is it the thought from my ego in the past? Or
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what thought it is, where it's from, how it is, how big it is, how small it is. It does not matter. You don't attach to the thought. That's the thing. So people are like, oh, I can't meditate. No, you can meditate. Just you don't attach to the thought.
but how? I mean, I see them. So isn't that
You
seeing
have
them?
a habit, Patricia, of you're overly analytical. So what you have to do is, oh, this is my habit. I get very overly analytical. So I'm going to focus my attention on something else. Let me focus my attention on my breath. Like take deep belly breaths. We've done so much belly breathing, right? Put your hand on your belly and take deep belly breaths. So that will take your mind off trying to be overly analytical, because you're getting in between all these workshops, you're getting this technique from April, this technique from Kelly, this technique from the other Kelly, and then you're trying to apply all of them at the same time so that you have like this burst firework kind of awakening, kind of like you want that one moment where you're an Eckhart, right? That is your goal, but that is not our path. My path is not to be that firework kind of this thing. It's a very slow progression of applying the teachings, applying. I see glimpses of, okay, here my mind went like completely, there was white light in my brain. Like I couldn't, there was no thought, there was nothing, there was just white light in my brain, right? Those moments happen, but they're very, I mean, it happens and it's done. Right? I'm back to reality. So
my process was slow too. There was no burst. Nope, didn't have it.
so notice that about yourself, that you want to be overly analytical. The moment you that's okay at the workplace. Being overly analytical is okay at the workplace. Once you shut that door to the workplace, stop the analysis. Just take your present and try and bring, even in traffic, right? Bring your attention to the present moment. Like, look at the license plate in front of you. Look at the sky. Look at what is in your sense perceptions, right? What are they? Look at that more than like trying to overly analyze something else or put on a
That's where-
talk.
Yeah, that's where Eckhart says, notice your toes, your feet. Like, that's where he's pulling you into the body, out of the mind into the body. So the thoughts can come, you let them go. You don't attach to them. You don't worry what kind they are. You don't do that. You just let them go. They come in, just
So
let them
focus
go.
on the sensations. True.
Dave saying be the presence, not the mind. I would strongly recommend, like, take one of Kelly's classes, like pay for one of his classes and do the Qigong. Where did you learn Qigong, April? Was it from
So-
Kelly?
No, I mean, Kelly has taught me, several moves, but actually where I linked to the Qigong was, it was in my efforts to help Elliot, my grandson who had cancer.
Okay.
I was getting connected to the Medicineless Hospital in China. And that's how I got into the Qigong. The one that I'm connected to is called Zaineng Qigong. And
Okay.
it's from the Medicineless Hospital in China, who they heal people with just energy, no medicine.
So is that something that you can give to Patricia too?
I am actually training right now to be certified in the healing for that.
Okay, perfect.
And I am taking those courses, and yes. So it is something that I could give to her. The main thing is like you said, though, is we don't have to analyze always what kind of thought that am I having. So this work is work that is continuous. We are continuously working on ourselves, but you don't have to. You can take breaks. You can have a weekend or a day where it's like, dude, I'm just going to be with me and I'm not going to do any work. I'm not going to, so you also need to give yourself that permission, because you're saying it's on the weekends when you're by yourself. That's when your mind starts really running. So it's okay to kind of take a break and relax from healing, because you are human. And your body also has to integrate. Every time you learn something new, you have to integrate it. Your body and your mind have to integrate this new process, this new information. It has to get rid of the old and bring in the new, right? So you also need to give yourself time for that integration, for that learning, for that growth. But I would definitely do like Poonam was saying, is I would bring yourself back into the body. So notice your fingers, wiggle your toes, notice your breath. And on the breath thing, you either notice your in breath or your out breath, but not both. So, and the reason I say that is because I found that over the years, that if I had somebody focus on both breaths, they would get anxiety. So you only focus on one or the other. Either focus on your in breath or focus on your out breath, but don't focus on both. Okay. And that will pull you into the body as well and out of the mind.
Interesting. And that one thing when you mentioned today, that was also very fascinating, how our energies, you don't allow your energy to mix with somebody else's.
Oh, yep.
And this is, how do you do this? Is like just by being present, or you actually have to do some visualizations, like imagine yourself, put yourself in some kind of bubble. So
Well, you can if you need to do that at first, but it's really about, here's the one thing, okay? And I learned this primarily from being a mom and being having this idea that this was my child, and this is my kid and I'm raising this kid, and then this kid all of a sudden gets like 17 and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, Where are you going? What are you doing? Are you leaving? You what? Right? And then I realized it's not my kid. It's its own soul. It's its own, it's from source. Oh my God. It's not mine. Right? So that right there is when I started to realize every person is on their own journey. Their journey is not my journey. I am not responsible for their journey. I'm not responsible for their emotions. I'm not responsible if they can't handle things. I'm not responsible if they get angry and fly off the handle all the time. That's not my journey. That's their journey. You have to realize everybody is on their own journey. So when you can do that, then what you do, it's like Eckhart's in his ego thing. You step back from it and you realize, oh, I see. Oh, okay, you still have some ego that in pain body that you're dealing with. I get that. I've been there. Okay, that's not mine. I'm over here. I'm still good.
Mm.
You don't allow the energy to mix. You don't take it on. You let their energy be theirs and yours be yours. That doesn't mean I don't ever feel bad for somebody. It doesn't mean I don't ever get mad. My daughter made me mad yesterday. Very, very mad. And of course, it was my oldest daughter, who the oldest daughter's always got like that little, you know,
Yeah.
right? She said something that really did upset me yesterday. I was really upset over it. And, but today I'm perfectly fine. We are perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine because I have to go inside. I have to look at myself. I have to say, okay, why'd you really get hurt? What did that trigger? What did it bring up? And, you know, and you also have to learn to let things go. So it's not necessarily visualization. It is more understanding that each person on this planet is on their own soul journey. And you are not responsible for that at all. That doesn't mean we don't help people, but you are not responsible for that journey whatsoever. You are responsible for your own journey, for your own learning. And you let it's not your garbage. Don't you have enough?
And in the same time, when you were talking about, praying for the world and sending the good energy, I realized that that also shows us how each one of us is powerful, because if we come together and do the walking meditation or pray or anything, that we are one more to the so many numbers. So without each one of us, there will be no power in numbers. So me coming,
I think we should have a world. Yeah, I think there literally should be like a worldwide, like it, even if it's 15-minute meditation for peace. I think that there would be, if we all did it, the change would be astronomical. It would be amazing.
And who has the power? All like spiritual teachers need to get together, and each one following, they have millions following each one. So that would be incredible.
Many of them have been doing it, and many of them have been doing it much more lately. So, so that's the main thing, and that's how I don't let my energy mix with other people's energy. I love them, but I don't take on their stuff.
For me, I do let it happen because I still needed their approval. So I want to be liked. So I want to do something. And if they're upset and I want to try to fix it for them, I want to be the one that saves them from, oh, you're not feeling good, let me give you medicine. It's like, I want to be, this is the archetype of the savior, right, Poonam? I stopped being a victim so much, so I kind of moved on from the victim. Now
But wanting to be the savior is also part of needing approval.
This reminds me, go ahead, April, finish and then I'll tell you something.
Yeah, if you save them, then you get approval. It also is a way to feel important and also a way to feel needed. It is a way to get one of your needs filled. But you don't need other people to like you, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many people like you if you don't like yourself.
Right. I know that.
It
Absolutely.
will never be enough. If you don't like yourself, it will never be enough. You will always need more people to like you and to show you more.
One
You
night,
will-
couple of nights ago, I fell asleep with my head. I just started saying, like in my thoughts, I love you. I love you. I needed to hear it. And then at 4 o'clock, right before I woke up, I had such nightmares. It's almost like, why? And then I woke up, it's like, well, I just fell asleep in the most loving relationship. And then this happens. And like, that doesn't make sense. I was expecting morning to be just wonderful.
Yeah, but that brings up all your brain started fighting with you in your sleep.
It's like, what is this
The
thing?
body keeps the score, right? The body
Yep.
is telling you that you may tell yourself you're in love, you're in love, you're in love, but you really are not living your divinity. Once you touch that point, right, Patricia, and keep it to a sustained level where you can feel, experience your divinity, you will not ever say, I don't love, I want somebody to approve me. You will not never say that ever again. But it is like what April was saying about the daisy, right? The moment you see the signals that, oh, I thought of this and this happened. I thought of Anthony William doing a live, and now look, I see that being manifested. So you're not recognizing your divinity, right? You're not seeing that you're able to manifest these things. You're thinking something external is manifesting Anthony William doing a live. Remember, you were saying he hasn't been on Facebook Live, and look how many repeatedly
Right. He's
he
just
has done. Almost every day he's doing a Facebook Live. The other thing I wanted to say before everyone goes is when you said, what about this person leaving the country? If they did not fix their reactivity to this repeated action this person was doing, they will just take it. It's just like you take the whole world with you, as Fine Katie says, right? You go into the desert and you take the whole world with you. So even if she moves to another country, she's going to take the same unconsciousness, the same reactivity, and that same thing is going to happen because she's co-creating the reality, the personal reality,
And she
right?
hasn't healed the pattern or
This
the pain.
personality is co-creating this personal reality.
Yeah.
I didn't heal myself, and then I'm moving to another country. I'm just going to co-create the same reality. So just moving to another country does not help, is my answer. First, resolve it in your own country. And then when you move, something will happen. Once your energy state changes, something will happen and it will make you move to another country, which is what happened to us. Our energy state at that point in time switched, right? We did something where the energy state switched. And because of that, the universe said, okay, I'm going to pluck you out of here and put you, which mine, the contrast that was given to me was I didn't like being touched. Like in India, they have a lot of like these repressed sexuality kind of behaviors. They touch you, they touch your like private parts, like fondle while you're in the bus, while you're in this thing. So I was like, can I be somewhere where I can be safe, right? I don't want to be touched and squeezed and this thing. And that, I think that asking, you ask and it is given, right? Brought me my ex-husband who wanted to come to the US for higher studies, and he pulled me with him,
Yeah.
right?
And then asking, like, so the daisies happened in the same day. What was the next day actually? I had to take my daughters to the dentist, and there's a guy that is leaving, and they're like, okay, bye David, have a good day. That's my stepdad's name. Then a guy comes in and sits in, checks in, and she says, okay, what's your name? Chad. That's my brother's name.
Wow.
So I got Daisy's, my mom and my stepdad, my brother, all within a matter of a couple. So they will answer if you ask. This lady, like you're saying, is right. She hasn't healed her pain body. She hasn't healed her pattern. So it's going to follow her. I tell people that, you're running. And a lot of people that I work with, they use substances. You're using substances and you're trying to run from your problems. But to me, that is like running from your own hand. Your problem is within you. Where are you going to run? It's going with you. Yeah. So, but I think that you'll get it, Patricia. But I would really work on not trying to analyze yourself all the time. You don't have to be working on this 24/7. We can take breaks. We can take breaks. I take breaks.
And I see Dave said something, be the presence, not the mind, and one must not be attached.
Yes.
And great advice, April.
Yeah.
Okay, with that,
Alright.
let's end. Incredibly
Thank you,
amazing, eternally grateful to both of you for being here, and for Dave and Sri Lakshmi to be online with us, and everyone else, Summer, Louise, and I think Dave was online, Lakshmi is online, Edith was online. So grateful for such beautiful souls, right? Thank you for choosing your divinity over your humanity. And Dave said very helpful discussion. Much thanks and
Yeah,
gratitude.
it was incredible. Thank you, Poonam, for
you.
bringing it
Thank
up.
you.
You're most welcome.
Good
Thank
to
you,
see
Sri
Patricia.
Lakshmi. Good to see you. Good to have you from, I think you're in India, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Much love. Many blessings. See you all in 2 weeks. Bye.